never easy to find positives when you've lost a game, particularly when you've been winning the game 1-0 and you go on to lose 3-1. However, I say it's not easy. I actually can find some positives in that. And there's one in particular which had me really, I was going to say frothing at the mouth. Maybe that's going a little bit too far. But had me very, very excited. And that's the combination of Paqueta and Benrahma. Good players recognise good players, right? I lost count the amount of times I've seen the odd good player come into West Ham and other players not be on his wavelength. If you know, my sort of vintage, you remember Di Canio coming in, you'll know exactly what I mean. He was constantly frustrated. He would try a pass and he would be annoyed that nobody had read the pass that he had intended. I've thought this on a few occasions at West Ham with Paqueta, since Paqueta's come in. However, I saw real glimpses when I watched us play. Well, there's been a few times when I've seen it happen with him and Benrahma. There's been a few times when I've seen him and Rice combine well, because Rice is a really good footballer. He's going to go, whoever he goes on to play for, probably Arsenal. You'll see him play amongst good players. You see him do it with England as well. I was thinking it's the same when Lanzini's on the pitch, although, you know, look, his best days are past him for West Ham. But you can see he's a footballer. It's pass and move. They trust each other. But I've seen it. I think I've seen the future. Seen the future with Benrahma and Paqueta. That's if we discount the rumours that Newcastle are interested in signing Paqueta. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Here's the thing. There were times during that Man United game when Paqueta would play a ball really quickly. And the ball would often go over the top. And I was thinking, wow, you know, had there been somebody either centrally who was a little bit more switched on, I was going to say more pace, but Antonio's got pace. What he doesn't do is read the game particularly well. There was a point where Paqueta put the ball over, and you could almost think, why hasn't Antonio made that run there? Antonio did run there eventually, but he almost had to wait to see the ball go over the top. Oh, and he thought, I'll go and run for that. Like my little mime there. Oh, he says, and then he ran for it, right? Whereas a really sort of switched on player, a player that reads the game well, will already be on his way. That's where you start to get partnerships, right? Where there's a forward player who will look at Paqueta and think, okay, I know what he's going to do, so I'm going to make that run now. And there were a couple of occasions when he sort of looked for somebody down the right-hand side, and there was nobody there. Well, because it was Fornals, really, and Fornals is such a workhorse, and it's weird. I do the player ratings, and you know, you try and assess him, and I always feel guilty when I assess him because it's really hard to criticise somebody that puts everything in. There's this old thing, this old adage about West Ham. West Ham fans, all they want is for anybody to give 100%, and he gives that. So you don't want to overly criticise him, but also that's not strictly true. You don't just want someone to give 100%. Actually, we really like our skillful players at West Ham as well. And, you know, you really wanted something else. And there was points during that game where there was just no option down the right. And I thought if there was just a quick player in that position, it would give Paqueta the opportunity to play the sort of passes early that he wants to do. But worry not, because he really seemed to link well with Benrahma. And I think what the really good thing was, there were times when they were both starting to look for each other. I find the left side has not functioned particularly well for a while. I guess they're looking for different combinations. So this was the first opportunity, I think, to probably see Emerson operate properly at left back. He's had some good performances since the turn of the year at left wing back. I wasn't impressed with the signing. I wasn't massively underwhelmed with the signing. As you remember, if you watch the channel, when we signed him, I said, look, we signed a £13 million player. He looks like a £13 million player. I never looked at Paqueta and thought, oh, £13 million, there's a bargain. He looks like a £40 million player. No, he looks what he is, 12, 13 million, something like that. So I wasn't overly disappointed with him. However, I think there have been times when a left wing back, he looked better, and you've seen some assists from him. And, well, you saw another one today. It was yesterday as you watched this video. Now, don't get me wrong, Benrahma turned it into assist, but it was good. The only reason I bring him into the conversation here is because I felt that was functioning. And when I say that, I mean Paqueta to Benrahma to Emerson, then they would get it back. There seemed to be some combination play going there. I think you'll fully see the benefit of that probably when Zuma comes back and Agurd goes back to his favourite position at left centre half, because then you'll really see some proper combinations happening. It's hard to pick out Agurd to say that, after that performance against Man United, to suggest that he's the answer. But I do think he is, and I think you can pretty much write that off as just a horrendous, I was going to say bad day at the office, a horrendous day at the office. Didn't even go to the office, pulled a sickie, whatever it was. And I sort of felt for him. I think he knew, how much he'd mucked up. You know what? It happens. I'm far less concerned about Agurd doing that than I was about Cresswell in the quarterfinals of the Europa League getting the red card, then doing it again in the semi-finals. Oh, okay, we've got a problem here. I don't think Agurd's going to do that too frequently, so I'm not too bothered about that one. But I do think that there's almost a little, the green shoots of something happening on that side, and particularly when Paqueta's there. I just think they really, really played well for each other. And I really like the way that Paqueta and Benrahma would swap the ball. And there was a lovely little exchange of passes when Benrahma gave it back to Paqueta. Paqueta had a shot. Okay, not the best shot in the world, but I thought that I was pleased. I thought the move looked really, really good. And I was absolutely delighted to see that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. And I think it is hard. I do wonder, David Moyes has got a decision to make, really, because, well, has he got a decision to make? I guess he doesn't, really. I was going to say he's got a decision to make with Benrahma. I think Benrahma was that good, he has to play him. Look, Benrahma started against Nottingham Forest, wasn't fantastic, but got 2 assists. Started against Manchester United, was fantastic, and got a goal. There's nobody else that can go in there. David Moyes has got to bring in Danny Ings. And you know what? Danny Ings will make those kind of runs, because we've already seen it, that Paqueta is looking to pick out. Paqueta will recognise Danny Ings. And I don't mean that he'll see him go, hey, there's Annie Dings. I recognise her. I've seen her before. I don't mean that. I mean, he will look at him as a player and think, I'm used to this. I've trained alongside players like you. I know this. And just going back, I think it is really important, just to touch on a point, I sort of lost my train of thought there, with Emerson, is that Emerson played with Paqueta at Olympique Lyonnais. So you have to wonder if there's something there. I know Paqueta plays for Italy, and someone always complains when I say this, but he's not really Italian. He's Brazilian. I once, by the way, on a video, I once called Gökhan Töre. I think it's on this channel somewhere. I might even have had to unlist it. I once said I remember Gökhan Töre, who played for us. I once said, so he's not, I say he represents Turkey. He's not really Turkish. He's German. Oh my word! Honestly, the hate that it was. I think that is the most amount of trolling I've possibly ever had. And then whenever I say it, there's always somebody that will pop up. But Emerson's Brazilian, right? He is. So they, they both speak Portuguese. They're great mates. They played together at club level. They're a similar age. They've clearly come through. They come through the same country. Both came through the system at Brazil and whatnot. So I think there's good combination there. So I'm looking forward to see more of it. I'm finding that despite the loss, and you might be looking at the video thinking you're a bit chipper considering we lost last night. I've seen enough promise there. I really do. I think with Danny Ings in the team, and I think with Bowen. I know Bowen wasn't great when he came on, but I think you put him in the team and, play Brighton. That's not going to be easy. I do wonder, we can't be going into that game as favourites, which again, I think almost every time we played Brighton, even though they always turn us over, we've always been favourites. I don't think we will be. I think possibly the pressure's on them for this one. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to more Benrahma, more Emerson, and particularly more Paqueta as well. I think it's good. I think it's good. I'm not too bothered about fatigue levels for reasons I didn't review. I think treat it as a training match. They'll travel down. I don't know what they do, actually. I don't know if they travel down on if they fly back on that night or they stay in a hotel or whatever they do and then travel back, travel back to London the next day. Whatever they do, I'd be giving them Thursday off. That's what I'd do. I'd give the players Thursday off, whatever. Like I know anything about players' conditioning, but I would imagine that'd be the case. Whatever, bit of light training, bit bit of brunch, something nice to eat on the Friday, and then down to down on the coach for a trip to the seaside against Brighton on Saturday. There you go. I know it's hard to see, particularly when you're 1-0 up. I do wonder if going out of that competition might, in the long run, for this season, say long run, I mean this season, might do us a bit of a favour.